some orange in there. I'm not sure why the colors changed so drastically as it moved through the atmosphere. With Starship, I'd say Flight 2 in particular, beautiful pink burn all the way from ignition to most engine cut off at hot staging. Um, that was really great. Flight 2 is the first time we saw 33 of 33 Raptors burning on Super Heavy, and that pink flame was beautiful. So hopefully we see that again today.
And I think we might. Adrian, we got some news from the pad, right?
Yeah, absolutely. They have started propellant loading. SpaceX has confirmed that they are starting propellant loading into Starship. So we are into the business end here. We will see a Frosty
Yep.
ship and booster very soon.
All right.
If you
so
see,
we will,
the tower vent has also stopped, so that means both not just methane but also liquid oxygen is flowing into the ship. We should be coming up on the booster a few minutes later, I think, if I'm not mistaken. It is a T-minus 40 minutes, so 6.5 minutes from that.
all right. So the high velocity plumbing has begun. So we'll be keeping an eye on things over there. We're
Yeah.
talking to launch photographer John Kraus, who does some amazing work, and you have undoubtedly seen his work published across many different areas in print and digital and everything in between. John, also, one of the things I like about your work is that you cover the human aspects of it. I know you did a lot of work on the Inspiration 4 mission, but I also see you zeroing in on the people involved. What drives you there?
I'd say my start with that was definitely Inspiration 4, and before that campaign I was not well versed in photographing people at all. I've always liked rockets because they can't tell you that they don't like how their face looks or whatever in a given photo, right? But the opportunity to work with various astronaut crews over the last couple of years has been great, and with that I've dived a bit more into just the general human side of spaceflight. Um, it's just important to remember that people are doing this, right? It's easy to get attached to the spectacle of a giant rocket the size of a skyscraper flying into the sky, and it may sound obvious when you verbalize it, but people build these things, and there's a human side of the story, of the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into making this happen. So anytime I can have that sort of human for scale in a photo, or people cheering at a launch or whatever it might be that involves the human element, it's just an exciting way, again, to remind folks that people make this happen. A lot of hardworking people at SpaceX and really the entire industry that makes this possible. So fortunate to tie that in when I can.
And what do you think is going to happen with this flight, John? It looks pretty good.
It's hard to say, right? You could lean either way. I think it's very promising that we haven't yet seen a regression in terms of the progress they've made each flight. That may be a little bit harder this time, right? Because they've really sort of gotten through some of the biggest hurdles. So you can kind of look at it like if there was a payload on board the last one, and could they have deployed it? Probably could do the same this time, but getting through the sort of parts of the flight that are key to reuse is going to be important to see this time. But I don't think it's the end of the world if they don't nail it this time, right? We want to see them make progress, but this is a developmental program, the scale of which we've not seen, and it's being done by a commercial company, which is pretty amazing in and of itself. So fingers crossed we see a ship, make it down to the ocean in
Right.
mostly one piece. I think getting back telemetry through that max heating is going to be critical. But again, I don't think it's the end of the world if we see a slight regression or if it's not a perfect flight. This is a developmental program, and they've made that very clear for a reason. So, as they say, data is key, and hopefully they learn a lot, whatever happens.
And it
And
gives
hopefully
us
we see it.
That's right. That's right. It looks like it's still a little foggy over there. So the weather, nonetheless, is 95% go. So the slippage of the T0 time here might be burning some of that fog off and giving you a better view. But we know you've got planning to do here to get your shots, because you only get one shot every time one of these goes up, or maybe a couple of clicks of the shutter before it goes out of sight. So we'll let you get back to work there. Where can people find your work if they wanted to check out some of the things you've photographed?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to plug. John Cross Photos on X, and then johncrossphotos.com is where you can see my work, both from today and the last decade or so. And I just want to say thank you guys both for having me and for the incredible work you do. Hearing you guys talk about, when the venting stops on the tower and when stuff gets loaded, it's just incredible that you guys track this stuff. And being around your team today and seeing the stream architecture you have to enable this is inspiring, and it's a great service to the community, as I think Eric Berger wrote earlier. So just want to thank you guys, and good luck with the stream today.
And thank you, and we look forward to seeing what you captured today. And that fog will be gone. Trust me, it'll be
Yes,
clear. Hopefully,
it's clearing as we speak.
Skies. All right, we'll let you get
guys.
back to work there. And thanks for joining us, John Krause, launch photographer, does some great work, and it's always great to have all the different folks who make up our fun community of space enthusiasts join us to talk about things. So yeah, it's kind of fun, and I really like. I've taken attempts at launch photography. And it's kind of like fishing. it's difficult, and sometimes you get a real good one, and other times not. So it's not an easy task. Alex, have you ever tried? You haven't been down here yet, have you? To see a launch?
I haven't. I haven't seen a launch, and I'm itching to get to one.
We got to get you to one.
Yeah, I learned from myself. It's very much like fishing, because the one time I saw a launch, I very much also just. There's like this shaky video of me with my phone camera, and that's it. And I believe we have a frost ring on Starship.
Right. There it goes. You can actually almost see it moving up the side there.
Yep.
So we've got a very fast rate of fill. Now, what goes in first, Alex?
Well, on the ship, it is first the fuel, essentially the methane, and then the liquid oxygen. This is the frost that you see there. It's on the liquid oxygen tank. It is the bottom tank of the ship, and we should probably see a similar frost ring already on the methane tank, if I'm not mistaken. Also, very soon we shall see the same on the booster, and then the last tank where we'll see any frost will be on the liquid oxygen tank of the booster. So that's sort of the order of frost. We also get to know, from previous tests, where to see things first, and then later in, the rundown of events, essentially. But yeah.
Now, Adrian, I remember going to the Artemis launch, and fueling was an hours-long activity, and we had all the drama related to leaks and frozen valves and everything else. This happens a lot quicker.
Yeah, it's also a bit of different philosophy that SpaceX has versus a lot of other rockets, because SpaceX has this almost load and go philosophy, where they basically they load the rocket, and as soon as it's ready, let's send it. Where other rockets, Atlas, also SLS, enter top-off stages, where they just basically they cycle through a top-off sequence and basically make sure that they are at the same level for a continuous amount of time. So that's a bit different also philosophy. And yes, the countdowns of other rockets, basically kind of all other rockets have a longer countdown almost than Starship. This is almost like one of the fastest countdowns in rocketry, which is insane.
It is pretty insane. And as fast as it is fueling, it expends that fuel even quicker. So the amount of I keep using this word high velocity plumbing, but that's the only thing I can think of to describe it. I mean, these pumps they need to use to continue to supply fuel to get all 33 of those engines lit has got to be pretty immense, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw them starting to at some points replace some of these pumps and getting them and also adding more of them. The amount of pumps they have, it's quite an endeavor. We also saw them in the past removing some of them after they have maybe not been up to the task fully. So yeah, the whole plumbing and the whole subcooling system has undergone a lot of changes and also a lot of different iterations. And it seems like they're getting there. I mean, this fueling is now 10% faster than the last one. We'll see where it ends, right?
Right, and 10% at this volume is not insignificant.
No, that's like when we are talking like 10%, like you're already in the point where you go from like 40 or like 50 to 45, and like that's the area where we talk about here. There's no longer room to optimize this by, I don't know, 50%. That would be they're already there. So we are probably not gonna see like jumps in the above a few minutes anymore, because at some point
At some point, you hit the limits of physics, right?
Yeah, like at some point you
would
basically would have to have a quick disconnect as big as your rocket. Like,
right.
That's a problem.
But I guess you work towards it. You know what your physical limits are in theory, and you try to get as close to that as possible. So we are about 37 minutes out, and we've got something to play back. We got some more goodies for you all. The team has been busy ahead of this flight here, and I guess, Kevin, we've got some behind the scenes from DWise. So we're going to roll that and show you how what goes on around here behind the scenes, I believe. There we go.
Set, though, and we have hitched up the mobile live stream trailer here to the truck. Safety chains, we checked the lights, brakes, and stuff like that. Locked in, good to go with all of that. Sorry for the shake. Don't forget the socket set. Don't forget the socket set.
I'm going for a tight, edged shot. It's one that I've always tried here at this spot, but so far it hasn't completely worked. But I just figure you keep trying it, you'll be able to break through eventually. So just gonna make sure it's in frame. Good there. Check our settings. Don't want to go too high with it. You know, they told me I'm a rocket photographer, but my real forte is cleaning solar panels. It's going good. I've got a lot of cameras that are going down, but at this specific location, due to smoke from the rocket, you know, the thing that's launching, it's mostly obscured. So this is kind of more of a, you know, it's a risky shot. But if it works, it'll be really cool. But the rest of my cameras are going elsewhere.
What sort of shot is this?
This is a 16 millimeter, just a really wide shot. It's gonna have this tree in frame, it's gonna have Star Hopper and Hopper, and ideally, the idea is it's wide enough that we want the ship to be a full ship above the tower, and you know, get it above the plume. Sean, how's the trigger working?
Great.
Ah! Ah! Okay, so I just set a GoPro on the scheduled capture to start at 7 a.m. It'll be recording 4K 120, and we're kind of just deliberating, do we want more cameras in the frame? Because then we get, you know, the camera's getting obliterated. Or do we want more sky in the frame? Because then we get the potential that it clears the plume and you get like Starship in the air, yada yada. So that's the deliberation. But I think that's what we're gonna go with. I don't know if you can pull focus on that. Here, I'll take a screenshot right now.
So it is the night before launch, and so the activity out here at the launch site has picked up a ton. There are a ton of space fans filling up, actually not right here, but everywhere down there. The highway is full of people who want to see this rocket up close, and then bright and early tomorrow morning want to see it launch. It's currently golden hour, so we've got the sun nice and low on the horizon, casting some excellent light on the rocket. So everyone's trying to get the best photos they can before the sun sets, hopefully for the very final time on this stack.
Just give one last look here before he hopefully goes up tomorrow. So, just kind of taking it all in, taking in the sights, the sounds, everything. Trying to catch the sunset.
sun has set, so I'm trying to get some time lapses. The beach closes at midnight tonight. There are still a lot of cars out here, as you can see. These are pretty great moments, being able to stand right near the world's largest rocket.
That was awesome. And we were just talking to John Krause about passion and the people, right? And there's so much passion of the people here at NSF to bring these images to you. And I think that really, I want to see more.
Yeah, this felt like a cinematic intro to a documentary. Like, this is the kind of things you would see of like a complete crazy produced documentary. I love this. I have a new favorite video. D, absolutely amazing work from you. Thank you so much for putting this together.
And the best part is it features the people we love, the people that we know and love here at NSF that work so hard to bring this to you, and you can really feel why they're there. Looking at, I think it's more than just the rocket. It's the people and everything that goes into what spaceflight represents, which is trying to find the next chapter for our species here, and that's what this is all about. And we're about 30 minutes away from the next test flight. And one thing to note, how close those cameras get. Now, everybody who was, where danger trail, that's that trailer, we call it danger trailer. That trailer is called danger trailer because it is that close to the rocket. Nobody can be near it when that happens. So all of the equipment there has to operate off the grid autonomously. It has to go off at the right time. We have some ability to remote control things, but a lot of it goes into the setup. And you saw Jack kind of planning out his shot there and the things he wanted to get into it. It's amazing. So it's just something else. So I'm excited to see what happens here. And Adrian, I wanted to chat with you a little bit about the landing attempt that they're going to make. Obviously, after the booster and ship leave the pad, that will be the last we'll see of it intact. But the plan is to try to get the booster to simulate getting grabbed by the arms on the pad, even though it's landing in the water. This is like a software simulation that it's going to run.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we don't know the exact circumstances of how they want to perform the software, but I expect it's some sort of verification. Hey, if this telemetry would have basically be the tower, would have theoretically fulfilled our expectations of where to land. So yes, the super heavy booster for this flight will be, as both ships, both parts will be expanded for this mission, just to point this out. But the booster will at least try to perform the profile that it would perform on a booster catch. And we have heard hints and talks from Elon and everything that if this goes well on this flight, the next flight might see a catch attempt. It's there's still some question marks about it. There's also some regulatory question marks about it, because that's probably needing another license modification. But the same goes for the ship. The ship is also going, if possible, quite further than we thought, because it will also, if you remember these early situations, these early flight tests, the flights of these, or just the upper stages. The main goal of that was to demonstrate the capabilities to glide, to reach this terminal velocity, and then perform a flip and burn maneuver, where they ignite the engines and then basically bring the ship from a horizontal to vertical orientation. And if they go all the way through re-entry, that's a big if, that would mean that they are also trying to perform this flip and burn maneuver and vertically soft splash down on the Indian Ocean. So
and I guess
it's quite interesting.
And it would give them some confidence to know that if they were to attempt a landing in a future mission, that it might work. Emphasis on the might. And I guess that brings me to this question is, attempting a landing, obviously we're not going to try to grab anything on this flight, but if Flight 5, the desire is to catch the booster, that's a significant risk to the launch facility if it were to go wrong, and that could really derail the program, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's the topic of some debate inside of the NSF team as well, because at liftoff you have a booster producing roughly 70 meganewtons of thrust. It's already built for quite a lot of energy. Of course, this energy will be, in the case of a booster fallback, differently built on the launch pad, but the booster will just be in the ballpark of like 300, 400, somewhere in that tons of weight, and it will only ignite a few Raptor engines. So basically, we are talking about a kind of an empty can that is coming down, and this infrastructure is sturdy. Like the pad is extremely sturdy. It even survived the rock tornado of 1. The tower is sturdy. I think we are more worried about the smaller parts, like the chopsticks, for example. I do not want to see like the booster, I don't know, landing on one chopstick. I don't think that would go well. I think that's more like the smaller details, the cables, the carriage system. These are the kind of things we should be worried about in case of a missed booster landing. The overall infrastructure, like the tower and the pad, that's probably fine, pending how bad this could go in the future flight.
And again, we're not going to be attempting any kind of grabbing of anything today, but the plan is just to see if they can get a controlled entry into the ocean in such a way that the arms would work if they were there. So the booster will think it is going to get grabbed, and then unfortunately that will be it for the booster. Sad for the booster. Like you think, hey, I'm gonna survive this, and then there's no arms to catch you. How sad. But that's development for you there. So we are 25 minutes and change out from the T0 time. Adrian, everything we see indicates that we're on track there, and you can see that frost line growing on the outside of the booster and the Starship, which shows us kind of where the fuel situation is at. And as we were mentioning earlier, SpaceX's approach is kind of a load and go. So when we're watching the SLS, for example, we're fueling for hours. Here, it really is just a matter of minutes to get the rocket fueled up and ready to go. And you mentioned earlier, Adrian, that this is actually 10% faster than the last flight?
Yes. There's also some interesting capability which could be coming into play at this late phase, because we observed something on the wet rest rehearsal, which was the SpaceX on the wet rest rehearsal was conducting a roughly 30-minute hold, which the question now is that also the case for a flight situation? But that was something that was observable on one of the wet rest rehearsal scenarios. So if they should run into an issue here, it seems like they can hold for roughly 30 minutes or so before they at some point will run into a scrub scenario because of boil off and because of just certain limited conditions of the rocket. But that's just an interesting side note here, which we observed on the wet rest, which apparently has some capabilities here to hold.
And we have some updates from SpaceX as to what's going on. First thing we've been talking about a little bit this morning was the hot staging ring, which was a bolt-on, if you will, from the original design. Created some weight for it. Will in fact be jettisoned. The jettisoning procedure will be temporary, but future boosters will be integrating the hot staging ring directly to better balance out the weight. One of the things we talked about earlier is that the ring not only adds weight that creates complications for slowing the rocket down on the way back down, but it also kind of changes the center of gravity. So the plan for this mission is to jettison the hot staging ring on the way back down, but in the future they will keep the entire stack intact, just in two different vehicles. And reuse everything. So that is one piece of news that just got talked about from SpaceX. And the other is that the red team did have to go out to fix something at the pad quickly. Adrian, we saw some cars heading out there a little while ago, but they've of course cleared. So
yes, yeah, it seems like they had to go out there. I mean, it happens from time to time. This is a relatively new tank farm with all the changes. I wouldn't say new. Okay, let's say it's a constantly evolving tank farm, and there's always a chance that something comes up that they didn't expect. It looked like more of a tank farm than a vehicle thing that they worked on, because they Yeah, they were more on. It was not on the vehicle stage yet. Let's word it like that. And we're also getting more news here that the ship is now past 70% prop load on the main tanks. Header tank will be a bit later in the count, and the booster is at 38% LOX and 46% liquid methane. Right now, they're working no issues with the vehicle, the range, or the weather.
Perfect. That's what we like to hear. So those are the three things that'll mess you up. And so far, all are green here. And if you are just tuning in, we are about 21 minutes away from the launch of Starship yet again. This is flight test number 4. And although it looks very similar to the last 2 or 3 that we watched lift off the pad here in Texas, it is actually a very different rocket. These unfortunately get destroyed after every flight, but the hope is to have a very controlled destruction there. So hey, we've got to run out to Das real quick. He's in Texas on site. What do you see, Das?
Well, Lon, currently not much, unfortunately. We're over here at South Padre Island. We're on top of the Margaritaville Resort over this way, and we can currently not see the rocket. Now, last time, Flight 3, I couldn't see the rocket at liftoff. I was at the same location, but it was clear above it. And so I got the experience of the rocket coming out of that low-hanging fog cloud, whatever you want to call it. And then I saw it clear all the way to the horizon after that. Today, it does not look like that might be the case here. Y'all were saying the range is green, the weather's green, the visibility from over here on South Padre Island is currently not green. It is very gray, actually. And I'm wondering if we're going to see it. Hopefully we see it burn through because that exhaust plume is very bright. But right now, it is not looking good for our visibility over here on the island. 20 minutes coming up, right?
That's right. We're right at the 20-minute mark. And you know what? This, though, shows you just why all of the work that you do ahead of these launches is important, because there are cameras that we have that see very nicely, thanks to all the work that you did. We saw the documentary that Dee put together a few minutes ago.
That was
so
fantastic.
That's what it takes. It was awesome. But that's what it takes, right? You could get fogged out if you only relied on one location. So how much sleep have you had in the last 24 hours?
Some. Actually, I'm not operating on zero sleep. Hopefully I don't get any comments down below that the guy in the hat looks tired. But no, actually, we have crew here that we're setting up on the roof and handling everything. And I rolled up here like I'm ready to hop on camera. But we will see what happens. That is the truth, Lon. Like, we put all those other cameras out. One way we sort of approach is we just put so many cameras at so many different angles. Hopefully a lot of them have views. Right now, the ones over here on the roof, none of these cameras behind me can actually see the rocket, the blink of the pad, or anything right now. But I'll let it go back to you. I just wanted to let y'all know how it was going. All these feeds are live. Hopefully y'all will see something. Hopefully we'll see something. But clock is ticking.
Clock is ticking. You will hear it, though, and that's pretty cool in of itself. So we will get your your reactions when it's all said and done here. We'll let you get back to work, Das. Thank you, you and the team, for all that's been put together here, and we'll catch up with you in a little bit.
All right. Thanks, Lon. Take it easy.
All right. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. So, yeah, sometimes the fog there can be crazy. So you can see our view here is perfect. We can see everything very clearly. The only fog we've got is rocket fog from all of the condensing from the rocket. You know, this is very much like a cold soda can. You're filling it up with super chilled liquid. Adrian, why does it have to be so cold?
Well, if it's colder, it's denser, which means you get more into the rocket. Which increases performance. It's basically a decision that SpaceX has done already with Falcon 9, with going with super chilling their propellants, and they're doing that here as well to make sure they are increasing density. And with increased density, you have basically more propellant, and you want more propellant because more propellant means you can burn more, which means you can go faster, farther, and with more payload. That's the quick answer here. What we are doing, why they're doing it.
Got it. Density is your friend here in this case, and you can pack more energy into the same space, and there you go. So we are about 18 minutes now out from the launch of Starship, and we are monitoring things here at NSF. We've got cameras all over the place that will deliver some spectacular imagery of the launch here as it progresses. But so far, everything is green. The range is green. Fueling seems to be going on schedule. There's no issues with the vehicle, at least not that we've seen. So we are good to go, and there's still some margin in the launch window. So the window opened at 7 a.m. Central Time, and that window continues to 9 a.m. Central Time, and we're looking at launching just after, about 7, right before 8 Central Time, so 7:50, I believe. So they still have some margin if things were to introduce some issues there. So there you go. We've got Booster and Starship ready to get moving here, and Alex has been monitoring things at SpaceX, and his heart rate is up.
Also,
as all
yeah,
of
also
ours
his
is.
heart rate.
Yeah.
I'm so anxious right now. I'm like, boy, we are under 17 minutes.
I'm
I have
beating you,
had too many
Alex.
emotions back to back. I haven't slept, so my mind is still on Starliner from yesterday, right? That highly emotional flight with people on board going to the ISS. And now we have the world's most powerful rocket lifting off again. So of course my body's just like, I'm a wreck, right? Right? It's like so filled with nerves and yeah.
It is a lot. It is a
I
lot,
yeah
and you know, when you think about just how busy it's been around here, you know, space events used to be once a quarter if you were lucky, right? And now we're looking
yeah
at every couple of days something significant happening. You know, this is obviously not a show or a stream about Starliner, but they did, I believe, clear it for docking or berthing with the space station a little later this morning. So that's happening today as well. So all sorts of things going on here
yeah.
as we count
I
down in
just
the
have an
last 15
update.
minutes here.
SpaceX is confirming that indeed they are flying without those two tiles to test the heat shield. Try to see what's going on when you have no heat shield on certain parts, and also testing new materials as well. So that is why it is missing those two tiles. That is something that we sort of expected already. They're not silly people, of course. They know that two tiles are missing, but it's all very well instructed. They have sensors everywhere, and they have data for that. So, you know, it's a test mission essentially.
Absolutely. Test of the reentry component of the mission for sure. And we're going to toss it to Jack now, who is joining us out in the field. Jack, how's your beats per minute? Do you track that?
I do track that. Give me a second and I'll tell you what it is. Right now, my watch is telling me the range is between 92 and 130, so a lot.
Wow. Yep. That's passion for you. And that, you know, what we need is actually like those astronaut biometrics that we can put up on screen for all of the hosts here. So, so there's the crew, and we saw you all from the air a little bit earlier. So, Jack, we've got some airborne assets today too, right?
Sure do. If Andrew would move his stupid face, he could see the drone sitting there. Yep, there it is. But yeah, that'll be up in the air in a second after I'm done talking to y'all. But just wanted to check in from the field. We got another camera up here on the container. That'll be shooting a time lapse. We got, of course, the rig I explained earlier. We've got Andrew, we've got Adam, and we've got Sean. Look, the gang's all here. Oh, and Roger is over there. So yeah. But yeah, that's what we're looking at from River. A lot of clouds, but we'll see what we can see. There's a couple holes, so fingers crossed.
All right. Well, we will be keeping an eye on things. And Jack, thank you for all of the work that you all did over there to get things ready for us. We were just talking to Das, and it was all fogged in over at the hotel. But you've got some views there, so hopefully things work out. And we will let you get back to work because I know you've got a lot to do here as we enter the last 13 minutes of the countdown. And yell at those clouds. Maybe they'll go away.
Fair enough. Andrew, can you not? All right. Thanks, guys.
We'll talk to you later. So there you go. Jack is out in the field, and again, this is what it takes to get these things to you. You saw how Das was all fogged in over there, and Jack's got some somewhat better views there, but our cameras over by the pad are super close, so you will see this rocket launch without fog in the way. The only fog, again, is rocket fog. So we are going to keep an eye on things as we enter the terminal phase of the count. So, Alex, I know what your heartbeat is. What do you think the heartbeat is of those responsible for launching this rocket might be right now?
I could not imagine. I'm too, like, I don't know. If I'm this nervous and anxious and everything, I don't cannot even imagine how they are. With all of their hard
Although,
work and everything. It's crazy.
I feel like it's like astronauts. I feel like every time I talk to these professionals, they are way calmer than we are. Like they're like, oh yeah, going to space today.
Right.
And we are like completely nervous, panicking, like completely excited, and they're like, it's just another day at the office, launching the biggest rocket of all time.
And that's one of those things where you really can't appreciate what goes on with these rockets until you see one launch in person. So I saw my first rocket launch in person was STS-133, the Space Shuttle Discovery, and I have to tell you, my feeling, what I felt was almost like not terror but fear. Like, whoa, like this is crazy powerful, and just the amount of control of that power is what is. I think something that I think is what makes this feel the way it feels for us, especially because we didn't build this thing and we are just observers here, but very, very trained observers of this process. And Adrian, I noticed at the top of Starship there are some Starlink antennas, aren't there?
Yeah, which were very important in bringing us back these amazing views we completely freaked out about the last time, because Starlink apparently was used to transmit these re-entry views. So yeah, it seems, and of course the hope is that at this point, this time this will work as well as it did last time, and we get some amazing re-entry views again. And also some updates here. The ship main tanks are at this point holding at 85%. The header tanks are loading, is underway. Weather, range, and vehicle are still go, and boosters at 75. So everything basically progressing as normal.
All right. That
as
is good
normal.
to hear, especially as normal as can be, launching something like this. And that's it. I mean, this is still an experimental, in development spacecraft. So there's a lot that will be learned here the further they get. And each launch has been incrementally getting closer to full reusability, which is part of the mission here today. So we learned just a little while ago that not only is Starship missing tiles on purpose to see how the stainless steel underbelly there behaves in re-entry, it also has tiles that are thinner to see if they can get away with something less robust than what they have currently. So they're going to learn a lot on the way back down. And all of that, I'm assuming, was informed by the prior flight where we saw some control issues and things breaking up on the way back down. But they did collect a lot of heating data on that flight too. So that's the mission here really is not necessarily going to space, obviously, is the mission, but a big part of this is figuring out how to get things back down. So we'll be definitely keeping an eye on things, and we're going to get, if the last launch is any indication, Alex, we're going to get some great views of plasma building up on the spacecraft as it re-enters the atmosphere.
Yeah. Hopefully we get to see all of those views. I'm kind of waiting to see what else we get on this flight. Yeah, we're essentially right now on those few final minutes of the count. I'm like looking at all the feeds and everything. You can see a very frosty ship there. Lots of venting from the tanks as they are very, very cold. Propellant load sequence is essentially in the final few minutes, the final few percentages of those tanks being filled. The OLM, the overall launch mount, is configured for liftoff with the opening of the clamps on the base of the rocket rotor. The rocket doesn't really it's not clamped at engine ignition. It just lifts off as soon as the thrust of the Raptors is higher than the weight of the rocket. So that's why they ignite the engines around T-3 seconds. It's staggered ignition in 3 banks of engines, and then at T0 they throttle up those engines, and once the thrust is higher than the weight, then the rocket starts moving. That's approximately 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds after that throttle up. So that is going to be the liftoff point for today's mission. But we still have another 7 minutes and 49 seconds to go until that, and a lot of excitement building up. Not just the propellant is building up inside of Starship tanks, but also the excitement everywhere. I'm trying to contain a little bit more my excitement, I guess, in my anxiousness. But there you can see regular venting
Don't
from
hold back.
the from the yeah from the venting, that we see there from the header tanks, from the main tanks as they keep being loaded. You kind of need to depress a little bit to be able to allow that liquid to be continued to be topped off and everything. So yeah, we are in a really great situation here, with a countdown. So far so good. Like, I've been listening to the updates from SpaceX, and they're saying weather is green, range is green, everything is green. So far, smooth countdown. They had that issue, that little issue at the beginning, trying to ramp up and spool up the tank farm. That's why they had that small delay. But so far so good. Ever since, very smooth. There you can see all of the people waiting to watch the launch.
Yeah. And it's a
So
little foggy
yeah.
there, so it's going to be hard to see things necessarily right on the ground there. But it looks like, yeah,
Oh, look at that.
it's a go here.
I know
Lots of
that face.
people out. so, so yeah, so it's a little foggy there, but they'll still get a show. They'll at least be able to feel that rocket when it lifts off. And it looks
As
like
they
the
say in
header tank.
Vandenberg, they'll hear a very beautiful launch.
Right. Yeah, the fog is part of the routine, and sometimes it burns off, and this time it didn't. So we'll see. But our cameras are close, super close, so close that the fog won't be an issue for catching this liftoff and confirmation that all 33 engines will be be lighting up simultaneously there, or in the order in which they're supposed to light. So we'll be able to get a good view of that. The header tank looks as though it is venting. We're at 90% fueled up for the ship and 88% for the booster. And you almost don't need a fuel gauge because you can just see that frost going up there. Adrian, what does the header tank do on Starship?
The header tanks are for the landing portion of the Starship flight, because the advantage of that is basically at the landing part you would have a very empty tank, right? And as we know, Starship does a very, very violent maneuver at the very end, where it goes from horizontally to vertically. Now imagine a bunch of liquids inside a tank while you do a 90-degree flip. You would basically have that propellant would be everywhere except where you need it. So what they do is basically they have a very compressed header tank where they can extract from, and that header tank is basically just there to help them during this landing and prevent sloshing. They have other sloshing prevention as well. For example, in the booster, we believe there's some sort of slosh baffle, which basically also prevents some sloshing at the bottom of the booster, as they are going for different maneuvers. So there's basically all kinds of prevention that they also have learned from Falcon 9, where they have implemented now into Starship and Super Heavy to prevent the sloshing of liquids inside of the tanks.
And I'm just thinking about the future crews that will be on this mission and the sloshing that they may experience going through that kind of maneuver. So that's what I think is so exciting about Starship, is that there are so many more milestones to cross here. Of course, we're not going to be grabbing the booster on the way back down, or Starship. It's all going into the ocean, but they're going to be making another step closer to being able to recover one or both of these components of Starship in future missions, and that's what today's mission is all about. Alex, we are just about at the 3-minute and 30-second mark. What are we hearing out there?
Well, so far so good. It looks like we are heading into the final few seconds of the propellant load. The propellant load sequence should finish on the ship at minus 3 minutes and 20 seconds, essentially 10 seconds from now. And 30 seconds later, that will be for the booster as well. Then, they're going to be ready in the rocket for flight. FTS arm, the bend down sequence, the QDs and everything. They're going to be ready in the whole launch pad systems as well for liftoff. And hopefully we're going to get that engine ignition at T-minus 3 seconds, followed with throttle up and liftoff at T plus 2 seconds. So, boy, I'm
This is it.
I'm so nervous right now. We are under 3
I
minutes.
am too. And
Right now,
Adrian,
they have no plans to. Just a quick update as well. They have no
Yep.
plans right now to hold at the usual T-minus 40-second point that they have for a hold.
There's
But there's always automatic systems that could prevent that in like automatically hold at T-minus 40 seconds, so you never know. And yeah, we saw that tower event coming back. That is essentially confirmation that propellant load has wrapped up on the ship.
I'll tell
And
you one
there's
thing, that
the
camera view we see here
33
is not going to,
right there.
that camera's not going to survive long after liftoff.
No,
Go ahead.
that camera is very much like what's the next level of danger? That's like
Yeah. Danger. Death cam.
Confirmation
Yeah.
that indeed propellant load is complete on Starship. So, boy, 5,000 tons of propellant on board
Yep.
this rocket, about to lift off in less
Yep.
than 2 minutes.
And we are once again here, everybody. We are at below 120 seconds to a Starship potentially launching.
And we just got
this
word
flew
that
by.
prop load is complete. Yeah, prop load is complete. I think it's happening. So we are about 1 minute and 40 seconds out. Adrian, when does the Starship's computers take over the launch count at this point?
Which will be once again similar to Falcon 9 at 1 minute. And going forward from that, if we go down the countdown, we also have a few more minor steps that we will observe here. We will have the verifying go for launch at 30 seconds. Then we have the flame deflector, the giant flame deflector system at the bottom of the rocket, which will activate at 10 seconds. And then the Raptor ignition ignite at 3 seconds. That will be a staged ignition. And then at 0 seconds, they will throttle up the Raptors above 50%. And then basically achieve a thrust to weight ratio of over 1. And as soon as they achieve that, it's go.
That's it.
After that, we going.
We're going. And we are at the just about the 40-second mark to launch. And if they were going to hold, we would probably get word of that right now. But it looks like we're passing through that. We were listening for that hold to happen. It doesn't appear to be happening. So we are 30 seconds out now from the launch.
No hold.
They're going.
All right, so that's it, folks. We are going. So what we're going to do is at the end of the count, as we always do, we will be keeping quiet.
Go for launch.
And my heart rate's starting to go now, guys, too. My watch is about to notify me.
Watch for the deluge. Watch for the deluge. We will. The next thing, we are 10 seconds. We should see the deluge now. There it is.
And we got ignition.
And lift off.
Successful liftoff, gentlemen, but it looks like one engine is out. Adrian?
Yeah, it looks like they lost one Raptor engine so far. They are flying with 32 engines uphill so far, which is good. Like, there's some engine out capability on Super Heavy. They should be still fine.
Going through max
so far,
Q.
Yeah, max Q.
Oh boy.
Oh, there we go. There's the... Oh, it's looking beautiful.
Passing through the
especially at this hour.
The engine that they lost is also on the outer ring of engines, so in theory that should not affect the return of Booster 11.
Good. Because only the center 16 started, right? Okay. Looking good so far. Going down range.
Yeah. Looking good.
There we are in the interface. There you can see the one engine on the left. You can see it out.
Yep.
Yep.
So let me grab the timeline here as we are going through this here.
And for those who watch Falcon launches, you'll see that those grid fins are always out on the booster.
And the
I think this is engine chill, right?
You'll be able to see those grid fins actually rotating ahead of hot staging because they help on the rotation of the booster. So watch out for those grid fins. They will turn. Or
30
they might
seconds to
even
that maneuver.
already be turned.
They can see the engine chill, I think, right? Going on still
Yep.
on the vacuum engines.
Should be coming up
Kind of
on the
a-
hot staging in just a few seconds.
And the good news is
there
we
it
still
is.
have 32 engines lit, so
That's good.
we haven't lost
Might
any
change the
further
timeline
engines.
a bit, by the way. Don't be worried
Yeah.
if the timeline change a bit because the one engine is out. That might change a bit of the
There we
events.
go.
As we can
The
see,
grid fins are rotating.
Yep.
Booster engine cut off.
hot staging.
And there's the ship ignition. And hot
Oh,
staging.
look at that!
All right.
Look at the grid fin rotating back.
And booster now going for the aggressive flip and boost back burn.
Yeah, looks good
I
on the
see.
boost back.
I see all the engines so far good. That's good.
The ship, all
And
all
also-
6 engines are lit. Going
Yep.
into.
And this is already better than the.
Oh boy.
Well, the boost back is already looking good, right, Alex?
That's
like
right.
the last time. When did we?
Let's see what happens. Also, watch out for the hot staging ring jettison as well.
Oh yeah, I want to see if that happens during the flip.
Let's see what happens. We're coming up on that end. You can see there on the speed. It's now coming back.
3
Shutting
engines.
down.
All right.
Yep.
I love that. I love that
And-
sequence of how they shut things down.
And
Okay.
shutdown of all
Shutdown.
engines. And now let's wait for if they actually deploy doing a rotation. You can see the start of the rotation.
Oh, there you go. Look at that.
There we go. Yes, exactly that. Because
Hot
that
staging
means
ring.
they're doing that because the difference in like mass makes it now float away. It's kind of like a Starlink deploy.
And it's
That
flipping.
is awesome.
You can see there the thrusters firing on the methane tank on the top as the booster rotates. So it's essentially sort of what we expected, right? That it will be jettisoned during the flip. Meanwhile, the ship is going into that near orbital speed. So everything, we had just that one single Raptor on the way up, but it still can do the job. It's a multi-engine vehicle. It can still do the job even if it loses one engine on the way up. Boost back burn looked to be good so far. I don't know about you guys, but
Yeah.
look well. Starship,
So
Ship
now-
29, continuing with its burn.
Now the important next question will be, of course we had a successful boost back burn,
Exactly.
and
yeah.
there will not be an entry burn. That's the one thing we need to point out here. Super Heavy does not perform an entry burn, but there will be a landing burn, and this is the simulated catch. This is what they are wanting to try here. So get ready for that simulated catch, and we want to see, correct me if I'm wrong here, Alex, all
Yes.
center engines, basically everything but the outer ring should ignite.
Yeah, exactly. All 13 engines will ignite for the landing burn. Just real quick before we go into the super heavy action, I gotta acknowledge the fact that I don't see any major tile loss on Ship 29. By the way,
Oh, true.
very clean.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
This is amazing.
we should be seeing
I
already
mean-
those quid fins on super heavy starting to wiggle as the booster is already passing through 60 kilometers. So it's about to
the ti-
hit the super parts of the atmosphere.
The timeline is a bit later than
Oh,
it
look
was
at
initially
this.
planned. Oh,
Look at that.
That's
Whoa.
that's
That's
the
a
that's
cool
the
view.
forward
Ooh,
that's the
see
forward
the
dome,
motor-
right?
You can see on the right above the engine,
The
way
Griffin
for,
motor.
for the ship. You can see the motors turning. Oh my lord!
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Look at that.
That's the Griffin motors, right? That's the steering.
Oh, look
Whoa,
at that!
Look at that one.
Look
Outward
at
facing
that.
camera. Woohoo!
So every
Oh,
time
look at the speed. The speed is going now down as it hits the
Landing-
atmospheric.
Landing burn should start up very soon here,
Yeah. Watch out for that engine.
and we want to see
traffic.
13 healthy engines.
Yeah.
I think.
Look at that contrail.
Oh, look at that.
Come on. Booster 11.
1,500.
That grid fin's working really hard there.
It's giving it everything, and I think yes,
okay.
we have.
There we go.
I see 13. I see 13.
No, there's one out.
Oh,
12.
One out.
Down
12.
to 3.
12.
Yeah,
Down to 3.
and
And
there was some.
That's
landing.
water. That's water.
It's landing. It's landing on the water.
Splashdown.
Jeez. Oh my lord. Mr. 11 landing on the ocean, and there goes the tumble.
There it goes. But that was what they were hoping
Amazing.
for, right? So that result was what they were hoping for.
Landing of Booster 11.
Ship has entered.
And somebody
terminal
asked
gate.
earlier, where does
Terminal guidance. That means it is now on close guidance, trying to target that near orbital trajectory.
Okay, that's half the stage so far
okay.
down.
right?
RVAC shut down.
Airback shut
and
down.
these centers.
And the centers burn a bit more.
Yep. And
So if we can
And
unpack for a
we
second
should
what we saw.
and
there we go.
shut down.
Shut down.
Once again, Starship makes it into, well, not full orbit, but near orbital trajectory.
Right. Close enough. And
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 that
it's the second
Nominal
means
orbit
got.
insertion.
Oh, there you go. Nominal orbital insertion.
yeah.
Maybe a bit too early to celebrate, but if everything goes well now, we have a high chance of once again seeing some spicy re-entry.
There's definitely, it's already committed to a re-entry, right? Because it's already in that trajectory. Now the point of Ship 29 is to control its attitude. It's probably like me right now that I have to control my excitement, I guess, my attitude as well. This is so exciting. We had that booster splashdown, and now that ship back in orbit. Boy, that's amazing.
Now I did see some debris coming off of that booster on the way back down, so I'm sure they'll be looking at that. But it looks as though if they were trying to catch the booster, they probably would have been able to there.
Yeah, I mean, we had one engine out. Sorry, there's always this, there's this wave energy.
That's also the thing with the booster landing burn, that it lost one engine on the landing burn. It had 12 engines actually instead of 13, and still it made it. Oh, are those tracking views of the ship from the ground?
That's
After
sick.
that, the booster was able to do its boost back burn. Oh, this looks like we're actually getting some views from the ground still, potentially from Florida, of the ship as it's up there.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a view from some of our tracking cameras on the ground in Florida. But the ship, we just heard successful orbital insertion, so it's right where it needs to be, and is now going to continue on its way to coast until it comes to reentry. But I mean, the booster, successful boost back burn, jettison the hot stage, and then a landing burn. It looked like we saw 12 of the 13 engines light up, and then that first ever soft splashdown in the water. So a whole lot still to come. Ship now on its way to its primary objective of entry. That's going to be coming up in just under 40 minutes from now. So a lot still to come, but wow, what a 9 minutes to start this mission off.
And
So SpaceX sounding pretty positive there. Yeah, go ahead, Rachel.
yeah, absolutely. And we have a treat for you, everybody, because we like
More
to
treats?
celebrate special milestone with special clubs. You know, our clubs are here, and this time we go swimming because it's summer, it's hot. So with the splashdown of the booster successfully in the water, we have some released merch that just popped up. I'm waiting for it to pop up here. Okay. But we have. Yep, I'm
Told it's
waiting for
coming.
it.
You know what's also coming? The ship is coming down, right? Because it's already committed to that entry.
Oh yeah.
I cannot wait for those views.